Look what they're trying to market to kids. The Young Witch's Guide to Crystals. The devil isn't playing around, and neither should we.
Do you know that witchcraft doesn't always look like making spells and potions and incantations? Today I'm going to break down the nature of witchcraft: manipulation, intimidation, domination, and control.
That I knew I had been serving and following a demon. It wasn't that I was feeling anxiety or experiencing lust in pornography.
You better look in my eyeballs. We ain't afraid of you, you stinking witch. You devil-worshipping Satanist witch.
I rank devil worship as warlock and spiritual witches, turning me to know how to take over territory.
Hey, I'm back on making YouTube videos, and bettingly I'll make more. And forgive me for not making any more YouTube videos. It was just rare, and it's... you get the point. Okay, so to those that are new to my channel, I am Sparkle, and I am making this video to explain the questions. Well, there's only one question that I have been asked, but many of the other questions has never asked me that. But I know dang well that many of the other questions has been asked by multiple other witches out there or practitioners of magic out there. First question is this: do you worship the devil? Let's talk about Luciferianism and or Satanism, right? Half of them, they don't believe in him. I mean, yes, they identify themselves. Yes, they gotten into Luciferianism. But just because they got into Luciferianism doesn't mean that they actually believe that Lucifer exists. Because because they're actually using Baphomet and or Lucifer as a symbol to their religion, because since their main goal is to worship themselves and themselves alone. No others, no God, no Lucifer, just themselves. That's their main goal. That's their main worship, is themselves. And though it sounds selfish, but really, believe it or not, it's actually quite healthy. I mean, that's just basically saying of how much you believe yourself as a god because of how positive you're treating yourself as of health, of drinking some water, just speaking of such positive things to themselves. That's positivity. I mean, if being selfish is bad, then shoot, call me and I'll be positive such as that. Well, don't get me. And yes, there actually has been other Luciferians and or Satanists that actually does believe that they exist, but just because they exist doesn't mean that they actually worship him, but work with them. Because there's a fine line between working and worshiping. Yes, they work with him, but they work with him so they can actually have him as their guide or their guardian or their wise advisors in order to have him help them worship themselves as they believe themselves as gods. Not literally, but yeah, you get the point. Though there are such things as Luciferian witches out there, doesn't mean that all of us are the same. Second question: do you ride a broomstick? No, we don't. I mean, we might play Quidditch like Harry Potter, but we don't ride broomsticks. Though it sounds hilarious if we do so, man. That would be weird. This is why it would be weird to me, I think it would be funny. I don't care if you do it. I mean, if you want to do it, go for it. I mean, it's your choice, not mine. But just don't expect me to not laugh at it, okay? Don't expect me not to laugh or see it to be weird. Because, I mean, hey, at least I'm being honest about this. This is why. Because back before, in the 16th century, when the witch hunt has been a massive thing, riding a broomstick is not really what you think it really is about, really. Because riding a broomstick is basically this. In order to ride a broomstick, back before, they actually use a broom. And they rub some oil or herbal drugs and rub it on or tie on the end of the broom, yes, and I think they tie, but they mostly just smudge the juice, the herbal drugs juice on the end of the broom, yes? And they put it up inside them. If you're a dude, you know where. But if you're a woman, either way, you're gonna put it up there. You're gonna put it up there, your hoo-ha. You can look at me and say, this must be a lie. No, I'm not lying. It's actually very much true. They actually used to do that. Which explains why they ride the broomstick just so they can fly up sky high. You get what I'm saying? It's more messed up and more hilarious if you thought of Harry Potter actually doing the real life version of that. That will just look traumatizing for kids. I promise you that. If you do it, well, I honestly don't care. Just do you. Just don't advise people that it would be a good idea. But just do you. I don't care. Honestly, just don't care. Just don't get me involved in it, okay? Don't tell them that I tell you this. Now, third question. Do you do black magic? So, let's talk about black magic. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. There never was any black magic, nor was there any white magic. There never was any black and white, because magic has no color. Magic was never blue, green, red, white, black, brown, silver, gold, and all that. It never has any color. And the reasoning on why there are actually such things as the word black magic is mostly a racist reason. Because back before, when the racism and the slavery has been a massive thing, the white people actually made the idea on calling an African practice known as voodoo or hoodoo as black magic, a kind of magic that's been performed by black people and which equals seen as something that is bad, while if a few people practice white magic, which is basically a practice that white people practice, it has been seen as good. That's pretty much a racist reason why the word black magic is a thing. And it's why there never was, and why we never use the term black magic or white magic, because there never was any. Magic is neither bad or good, but how it is or how we want to use it for. Yeah, you see people or know people that cast baneful workings like jinxes, hexes, or curses, and just doing necromancy and all that. But that's not the fault of magic. It's mostly the fault of the person casting that magic. It's the fault of the person who casted that spell by what they are intending that spell to work on. I mean, think about this question, for example. If a person uses a gun, right, and they shot someone, would you blame the gun or would you blame the person who shot the gun? Even if it's accidental, it's still the man's fault. I mean, would you want to blame the gun for firing it? Or would you blame the person for holding it and firing it? Would you? You would most likely blame the person, do you? Exactly. That's the same thing as magic. It is not the magic's fault that has done that. It is a man's fault. It is a human's fault for casting that by their intent. Even if it's accidental, it's still the man's fault. It's still the human's fault. Next question. Why do warlocks are mostly known as witches? I got you on that. So, you know a couple of witches, right? You mostly know, well, not mostly, my bad. You know males that refer themselves as witches, though you believe that the term they use as witch is mostly for females, right? It's not actually mostly for females. I mean, I tell some of my friends that I'm a witch, and they actually ask me why did I use the term witch instead of using the term warlock. By the way, this is actually another question that I have actually been asked personally, but let's just keep on continue. And this is why. Well, at first, the word witch is mostly being used as an insult or as something that is very dangerous back when the witch trials the witch hunt has been a massive thing. It's terrifying for people to just being called a witch, because if somebody called other people a witch, most people would actually believe them. That person would be a witch. That is dangerous. And it would be known as an insult if somebody actually called you a witch. But when the Salem witch trials, or the witch trials at all in America and across Europe, has ended, people actually use the term witch as something that is positive, known as a wise man or wise woman. You know what I'm saying? And while the warlock, mostly there are male witches out there that refer themselves as warlock, but most of them doesn't want to refer themselves as warlock because the word warlock basically means traitor, or by other people's belief that if you are known to be a warlock in witchcraft, you have betrayed your coven. I guess so. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but yeah. But me personally, I honestly don't care what you want to call me. You could call me a sorcerer. You could call me Harry Potter. You could call me a wizard. You can call me a warlock, a witch. I don't care. You can call me whatever you like. You can even call me Gandalf at this point. You can go for it. I don't care. Call me Gandalf, and I'll probably hug you for a long time, because I take that as the greatest compliment of my life. I love Gandalf. Don't judge me. Question: is magic real? Yes. Yes, it is. Ever wonder why I believe that magic is real? It's not that I believe, but it's that I know that it's real. And quite frankly, I've done a few spells in my life. I mostly done protection spells, really, and they actually frankly worked quite well. I have protection in my room, yes, which actually quite frankly helps, and I don't feel any negativity. If I do feel any negativity, it will mostly come from me, not from negativity that comes in, but mostly comes out from me, because, I don't want to explain what I have in my mind. I don't want to explain, but yes. And also, I actually done a cutting tide spell a few times, and it actually quite work. Well, let's just say it works quite well. I even used a cutting tide spell on myself, and I greatly regret that in some cases. 6th question. How do you get into it? It's actually quite simple. And believe it or not, this is actually very much important to do firstly before you dive into it. It's actually very much important. And that is to question yourself, just so you can get to know yourself more better. Question is, what, how, why, and when? When will you start? Why do you want to get into it? What will you do once you got into it? What gets you interested in it? How will you begin? What will you research first? Those are the very questions you should really, or etc. Those are the very questions you should really ask yourself first before you start getting into it, because you never know if questioning yourself might actually save your life. I know so. Really, you really should ask yourself those very questions on why. Me, for example, I gotten into it just so I can learn. Okay, I see myself as a mystical scholar, I guess, a scholar of the medical arts. I don't know. But yeah, I gotten into it just so I can learn in it. Why? Where does it come from? When was it really huge? Or why is there such thing as that? I just want to learn those very questions, especially especially want to get into it just so I can learn about a few things that my family has gone through because of it. Well, they blame, because of it, which explains why we got a few spiritual problems from before. I don't want to explain it to them, but yes. Let's just say that I gotten into it just so I can discover the secret or discover the hidden answers as to my family's situation with spirits from before. I'm not going to tell you what happened before because, well, it seems personal. But yeah, Seventh question. Where does magic come from? I think that's actually very much rare for people to ask a practitioner of magic on where this magic came from. I think that's actually pretty much rare. I never heard anyone that asked this. But I think this is actually a good question that should be answered, really. So where does magic come from? So I have a few beliefs on it, but this is actually not my belief. I don't think this is actually belief. I think this is actually factual. Magic, let's talk about magic. Magic is of pure energy. Magic is energy, and it is everywhere. It is in the air. It is in the sun. It is in the light. It is in our technology, in our computers, in our phones, in our own TVs. It is in our own breath. It is in our own blood. It is in water. It is in food. It's everywhere. It's even in music. And music is one of the most powerful and strongest and most wonderful things that us humans has ever made. Oh my god, it's stupendous. It's stupendous. Magic is of pure energy, which explains why it is neither bad nor good and that it has no color. Because it's how it is or how we want to use it for. Magic is of pure energy. And it can literally be of anything. And magic is most likely one of the most oldest thing you could ever known. It's older than the world itself, really. And to scientists, where does magic came from? They believe in the Big Bang. The Big Bang is of a giant energy, wave of energy just flowing across the whole universe. And it forms our own universe, our own solar system. Or whatever you believe in, if you're a Christian, or Islam, or if you're in a Jewish practice, if you're a Hindu, if you're a Buddhist, if you're a pagan, whatever you believe in, and whatever you believe in, or where does the world came from, forget it came from there. It came from there. That's where magic came from. Just the very beginning when the universe or the world has ever began. That's where energy came from. That's where magic came from. Because magic is energy. You get the point. I always said that I don't know how many times, but yeah, you get the point. If you're curious where does the word magic came from, well, the word magic actually came from a title from the Zoroastrianistic priests known as Magi's. You may know them from the Bible, known as 3 wise men. You know, 3 wise men that met Jesus Christ? Yeah, those 3 wise men, though they are actually referred to as Magi's, or Magi, or whatever their title pronunciation is, but yeah. The word magic actually began when the ancient Greeks actually discovered Magi's from the Zoroastrian Magi's, which are Zoroastrianistic priest magicians, really. When they discovered that Magi's exist and what they do, and what they actually do is not just to perform religious practices in Zoroastrianism, but also they also practice astrology and alchemy. The ancient Greeks, they took that title and formed it into a word called Magia. Yeah, Magia. Which later in time has transformed into a whole word of magic. I mean, really, I think it seems like a wise idea to like refer energy, to like refer whatever we are practicing as magic, because it can be really difficult for us to explain of the word of it, but energy and or magic is all we got really at this point, or all that I got at this point. I mean, really. If you're also curious of where does the word witchcraft came from, well then that was very different. I mean, witchcraft is not the oldest thing. The word witch or witchcraft is not the oldest thing. It's really not. It's really not, because the word witch, or I literally just said that earlier, really, the word witch and witchcraft is actually a title or a word derived from the 16th century, when the witch trials has been a massive thing, or even through the Salem witch trials from 1962 to my bad, not 19 bollocks, from 1692 to 1693. That's what I mean, yes. But if you're also curious on the title Wiccan, then that would be very much different, because Wiccanism is actually not a very old religion. It's actually a religion that has been originated in the 1950s from England, founded by a guy named Gerald Gardner. And though, yes, once you started on Wiccan, you will dive yourself into magic or witchcraft or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's what Wiccan actually came from in the 1950s. And the purpose of why the word Wiccan has been mass practiced at some cases is mostly just to show people that, hello, we are real, our practices are here, and if you don't like it, well then you can just go through the door. Thank you very much. You get what I'm saying? 8th question. This is a question that I've actually asked before in one of my comments in TikTok by this person. I forgot the name. I forgot the pronouns in that person, but the person has commented on my video in TikTok. I just want to say thank you very much for asking that question, and I think that's actually a very much important question that much more witches and much more practitioners of magic should actually answer it more frequently. And yes, I have already answered the question in TikTok, but I think it would be a wise decision to answer the question again in YouTube, so other people may hear or may learn or may know of the answer. So the question that the person has commented on my video, he or she said, and I quote, "Magic is gonna come back, right?" I think that's actually pretty much a good question, because, I mean, it's actually understandable why this person asks this question, because there actually has been a few people that says or believes of how magic has already been faded, or of how magic is not real because, well, it's gone, and we haven't been in touch with it for a while at all, but I would actually disagree. Highly disagree. The person that asked that question on, and I quote again, "Magic is gonna come back, right?" Yes. What he or she is basically trying to say, ask is magic is going to be a mass practice again in the modern day, or if the traditional magic that is used to being cast, that's used to being practiced back before, is going to be practiced again in the modern day. Does it sound the same? No, it's not. It doesn't sound the same. Wait, is it? Doesn't? Sounds like it, but it's not. I don't know. I don't know if it's the same. Wait, why am I focusing if it's the same question? I have no clue. Deja vu. My bad. To answer that question, it never has faded away. Well, I believe and or know that it never has faded away, because it's still a mass practice even to this day. Even if it has been practiced by traditional magic or folk magic, it's still being practiced even to this day, just in different, even to this day, from different cultures. It's just most of the magic that's been practiced from before is most likely close practice. I'm talking about hoodoo, Slavic, Italian, Kriegssköld. Kriegssköld is actually another form of Norse magic. I don't want to explain what it is because, well, you gotta go into my comments and ask that question. Yeah. I might make a video about it or just comment, just reply what it is, but you get the point. And of etc. of other practices that are known to be close practices. So yeah. And also this is the reasoning on why I actually think that magic is still a mass practice even to this day. Not many realize about this, not many notices about this. But science is also another form of magic, but in a different way. And before you go into my comments, no, I do not believe, nor... believe? No, I don't believe, nor think, that science and or scientists are witches who is practicing witchcraft. No, I'm saying that it's another form of magic, but in a different way. Since science has been emerged from alchemy itself, from alchemy, which is basically another form of magic that mostly focuses on medicine. That mostly focuses on medicine and transformation. I mean, really, at this point, magic is science and science is magic, and you cannot answer all of the question of the whole world with just one of them. Like, if you mostly practice science alone to solve the world's questions, you're mostly going to answer half of the question. But if you try to answer the world's questions just through magic, then you're still going to answer half of the world's questions. You get what I'm saying? When it answers half of the world's question. You get what I'm saying? Like, with both of them together, it will most likely answer the world's question. All of them. All of the world's questions. But you get the point. You get the point, really. So, with the amount of scientists and the amount of people using science in their research, it seems like a lot. I mean, it actually seems like they have been practicing magic the entire time, just without realization. I mean, just without realization. And the reasoning on why I believe them to practice magic is also of this reason. Once you began in the practice, the only thing or the most thing you most likely should or would do is to research a lot and experiment. Not a lot, but experiment or research a lot. The same way of every other scientist would do. Or if every other practitioner of magic would do. It's the research. Research as best as possible. I mean, basically at this point, once you began in witchcraft, not witchcraft. Once you began in magic, every day is basically school. You can't escape school. School is your forever prison at this point. I think that's actually a controversial answer, but I don't care. That's my belief and or of what I know. Whether people agree or disagree, I don't care. Ninth question. What do you do as a witch? I eat. I drink. I watch shows, movies. I play video games. And I sleep. I mean, if you're asking of what does a witch do in their everyday life, you'll get many different answers. Me, I just do. I just live my life. You don't have to like sacrifice a dang goat every day. You don't have to like sacrifice a human for the sake of what you worship or work with. You don't have to do all that. Me, I just chill at this point. While other practitioners out there, they would just like, don't get me wrong, they would actually do rituals, but not those kind of rituals. They would just do the classical or just the simple or just the innocent ways of rituals. Some of them will do that. Some of them will most likely connect more with crystals, connect more with herbs, and just research a lot too. Most of them, they actually research a lot for the sake of their practice. But yeah, and also they also do shadow work, which is actually very much therapeutic. I very rarely ever do that, but yeah. But don't get me wrong, at times I actually do research. Like, I actually do, not a lot, but I do research. Heck, tomorrow I'm actually going to research signs if you are hexed, cursed, or jinxed. I'm not going to research that tomorrow, but yeah, you get the point. And last but not least, the 10th question that I think that a lot of people would ask. Is Hogwarts real? I wish. I wish to the gods of all 9 realms of Yggdrasil. I wish it's real. I really wish it is. Don't get me wrong, there actually is such thing as like a whole school of witchcraft. Wait, no, no. Yeah, a whole school of witchcraft and or of wizardry. That is very rare. And when I mean a very rare, I mean there's only one school that mostly focuses on the practice of magic. There's only one school. Literally one school. Not face to face like a whole building, but like online type of school. You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Well, there used to be a building teaching people how to practice it. But it's gone, mostly because the amount of protests from Christians saying of how bad it is for people learning of those things. But yeah. And also, you can actually learn from a few people if they could teach you about magic. I mean, you can basically ask them if they could be your mentor, and you can basically pay practitioners of magic if they could be your mentor too. You can learn from other people on practicing it. You can actually learn from them, and they will teach you how to practice it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, I mean, there actually is such things as classes, like physical classes, where you can actually learn magic, but would be very rare. Like, very rare. What? I don't know. But that would be very rare to actually find a whole class devoting to teach people how to practice magic. That would be rare. In my opinion, it would be. In my opinion, that sounds very rare, really. It would be awesome to actually be at Hogwarts. I'm not gonna lie on that. It would actually be awesome. I mean, shoot, what would you do? I mean, go in the comment section and just answer the question. What would you do if Hogwarts actually exists and you actually go there? What house are you, and what will you do in that place? Me, I'll just study mostly for my house, which is a Ravenclaw, and I will just probably learn some potions, defense against the dark arts, herbology, the history. But yeah. yeah. So yeah, that's actually all the questions. Thank you very much for watching my videos. And thank you very much for watching this video. I bet that these informations that I have spread helps a lot. I'm really betting that I don't sound very confusing, but yeah. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, like, comment, and most importantly, share this video if you think that that person that doesn't know anything about the practice should see, because, well, they don't know, and so they should learn. And if they don't learn from a video, well, then I think it would be a wise decision to actually learn from, what we have as the internet. Google's free, dang it. Books are free, dang it. Well, actually, not really. In the library, maybe. I guess, no, not really. But still, Google books, they're all free. They're all good. Get them. Learn it. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and farvel. May the gods grant you plenty, and have a lovely day. Yes. Fun.